What's up, everyone? George Balekji here with Foxborough Rush. But hey, check out the latest episode of Boston Has Entered the Chat. Wherever you get your podcasts, Travis Thomas and myself dive into what the Bruins look like post-trade deadline. Brad Marchand, Trent Frederick, Brandon Carlo, Charlie Coyle, Justin Brazeau, all gone. What does that mean for the Bees moving forward? We also get into the conversation of a possible strike coming and a holdout by the players of the WNBA, what that means for them and what they want. All that and more on Boston Has Entered the Chat, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. Now, let's get into Foxborough Rush. What's up? What's happening?
Yeah.
George Balekji here. He's Travis Thomas.
Yeah.
T, it's legal tampering period day.
Finally, bro. Let's legally tamper.
Christmas, birthday, legally tampering period day in the NFL. Those are my favorite days of the year.
Me too. Come on.
So
Come
legal
on,
tampering.
Patriots.
Yeah, legal tampering period. Basically, guys that are going to be free agents, you could talk to them. Can't make deals yet, but legally you could tamper. Legally you could talk even though they're under contract. So we're going to go through who the Patriots need to tamper with.
Yeah.
Legally strike a big deal with.
Yeah.
Who we want them to go after, and we'll just go through a list of the guys that are going to hit the open market and basically who the Patriots should bottle up and sign to sure out this entire roster. We're going to talk about Ronnie Stanley off the market. We'll have a moment. First it was T. Higgins, then it was
I need
Ronnie
a
Stanley.
drink. I don't need a moment, George. I need a drink.
Then we'll talk defensive line. Myles Garrett getting paid, what that means for the overall market. Shouldn't affect Milton Williams all that much, but he'll get paid.
Yep.
And then Geno Smith, the after effect of him now with the Raiders. Can't believe, I never thought that would come, reuniting with Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
But what that means now for the Patriots, because the Raiders no longer need a quarterback, but Sam Darnold has a new suitor. And it's a team not picking in the top three. All that and more. Let's get into it. So Ronnie Stanley, 3 years, $60 million.
I don't like it.
Never got tampered with. $44 million guaranteed.
I don't like it.
This was a guy the Patriots needed. First was Alaric Jackson, extends with the Rams. See it on your screen, the tweet from me and Rapport, the report from him. Now it's Ronnie Stanley, T. I'm going to say this straight up, dude. I'm sad.
I am too.
I am sad.
I'm devastated.
Yes. But I don't blame him. Patriots could have come in, swung big, paid him $25 million a year. Like over the lifetime of the full contract, non-guaranteed money, he could have made 10, 15, 20 million more.
Yeah.
Guaranteed money, he could have made bottom $6 million more to maybe 10 or 15 million more.
Yeah.
But he never got into the conversation with the Pats.
Yeah.
And I'm getting
Bless
there we go, podcasting, baby. All right. T, what did you think when you saw this?
I was devastated.
Sorry about the sneeze.
It's all right. It happens, man. I was devastated. I understood it, and I think you kind of alluded to this. Like he's closer to a championship staying where he is. But as I sit up here all the time, and you and I have had these debates where guys have all these demands, and they're like, well, I want to play in a warm weather city. Well, I want to blah, blah, blah. And I always sit here and I go, none of that matters. The cash is what matters, the money. Here's a guy that bucks that trend, and it's kind of refreshing, I guess, even though this one time I wanted it to be about the money because it would have benefited us, right? He would have been left tackle for the Patriots. But kudos to Ronnie Stanley for being like, you know what? I'm going to take less money. I'm going to leave money on the table here. A lot of money on the table. This number 8 kid playing quarterback is pretty damn good.
Yep.
Since I've been here, we've been knocking on the door of a championship. I'm going to stay. I commend that because, listen, it just doesn't happen in sports. For a guy to be like, I'm going to leave money out there and stay where I'm at and try to win a title, I think it shows you the character of him. But it also kind of makes me want him more, George. Like, that's the kind of guy, the kind of person, the kind of human being the Patriots need to sign. He's gone. He's with the Ravens. Congrats. But I am devastated because he was the best option available via free agency, trade, or draft. You name it. That was the alpha and the omega in terms of what the Patriots needed to sign. And we heard all the reports that they were going to go after him. So he's off the board. In the words of Belichick, we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cam Robinson. I mean, honestly, George, it is what it is. Congrats to the Ravens and congrats to Ronnie Stanley. But I am devastated to answer your question.
The pivot, and it's been the Patriots. We have option A, B, and C, and Mike Vrabel said that from day one. We have to be ready. Information gathering that Elliot Wolf alluded to. We have to be ready. We have to be better of knowing what's going on. And I think when he said that overall too, which is very interesting at the Combine, he's also basically insinuating of we need to be ready that option B is more vetted. We can't do another Chuks Okorafor. We can't do another KJ Osborne by that case and so on and so forth, which is, I guess, refreshing for them to need.
Yeah.
They're ready to move on when it's needed. But here's the thing. So if Ronnie Stanley's gone, Alaric Jackson's already extended by the Rams. It's Ken Robinson or Dan Moore Jr. who are the next top 2 tackles. And now here are the reports that come out. Like Albert Breer on the left tackle market tweeted, with Stanley off the market, my sense, which is really his sources, some tackle-hungry teams will prefer, keyword prefer, Steelers offensive tackle Dan Moore to Minnesota's Cam Robinson.
He's younger, right?
Younger, cleaner from a football character standpoint. He was also criticized a bunch towards the end of the year. But Pittsburgh people will tell you that a handful of sacks he gave up were actually on Russell Wilson, not Moore himself. Either way, I think both these guys get healthy deals. Look, in the $15 million per deal year range on the post-Stanley tackle market, that's great. If they're expected to get $15 a year, because I think Cam Robinson, if the Patriots get him, he's going to end up getting 22. He's going to get more than Ronnie Stanley, but it's a need and they have the money. Cleaner from a football character standpoint? Dude,
I didn't get that.
Cam Robinson at one point refused to go in a game because the Jaguars benched him for Walker Little, and then the Jaguars dealt him to the Vikings. So they're like, hey, you're not going to play. You're a trade piece. Oh, you have to go in. He's going to go, I'm not getting in now. Right. I don't care.
Yeah, that doesn't
I need an actual left tackle.
That's right.
The Patriots haven't had that for so many damn years. Yeah. Get a left tackle. Dan Moore is a stopgap for a year or maybe 2. He's not good. He's not good with the Steelers. He's not a good left tackle. Yes, Cam Robinson's coming off his career worst year, but that's a guy that's a 7-year starter at the position. And 6 of those seasons, he's put up over 500 pass block snaps at the left tackle spot and has allowed less than 8 sacks.
Yeah.
It's really hard to go from Jacksonville to Minnesota, new lingo, new teammates, new language, new cadence from the quarterback, new everything, and still be a really good left tackle.
I was going to say, he didn't play bad.
And that was an emergency play by the Vikings because they lost Christian Darrisaw. They knew they were trading for a tackle, and they went all in, smart on their offensive line.
Absolutely.
Cleaner from a football character standpoint, that's Breer having sources in Pittsburgh, probably Dan Moore's agent giving him that info. And I don't even know. Albert Breer knows a lot. He does a really good job. Look, you have Doug Marrone leading your offensive line room, and you have Mike Vrabel leading the team.
Yeah.
If you're making decisions because of cleaner from a football character standpoint, the whole reason you bring in Mike Vrabel is that football character isn't an issue.
Right.
Go with the better left tackle.
That's right.
Get Cam Robinson.
That's Cam Robinson. And that's it, George.
Yes.
He's a better player than Dan Moore Jr., and it's that simple. And I think you made a great point that, Cam Robinson's going to make more money than Ronnie Stanley. Yeah, that's because that's the decision Ronnie Stanley made. I mean, he wasn't going – he shouldn't be. Ronnie Stanley should be making the most, but he made that choice to stay in Baltimore for less, right? This weekend, George, between the Stanley news and the Brad Marchand news, honestly, I don't know if I've ever drank more.
If I had a lighter, I'd light it right now.
But I tell you what, I mean, if you're telling me Cam Robinson is a backup plan to the backup plan, I am fine with that. And I don't feel that same way with Dan Moore. Does that make sense? I think Cam Robinson's just a better player, and the character stuff is nonsense. I'm with you on that. I think that's much to do about nothing, and it's old news at this point, too. Yeah. It's not like the guy's in a police blotter, so everyone needs to pump the brakes on the character stuff. And by the way, this isn't a quarterback. Can you protect my quarterback?
That's all I
need.
Yeah.
That's all I need. I don't need you to be a leader of men here. Just keep my leader clean. That's what I need you to do. Cam Robinson's the best person to do that, and I think let's be honest. We're going to have to be comfortable with the Patriots overpaying for a couple positions here.
I think every
tackle's
position.
one of them,
yeah,
and wide receiver's another one. We're not I mean, even if, and I know we'll get to this later, but if you trade for a DK Metcalf, he still wants to get paid. So it's the market is the market. So I'd rather have the better player, and Cam Robinson is that to me. I don't even think it's particularly close, actually.
I think that Cam Robinson has to be – he's probably been option B.
Yeah.
and Ronnie Stanley was a high option A. I don't want anything to do with Dan Moore. If you pick a Dan Moore over Cam Robinson, you did a disservice.
That's right.
And it's like, I understand Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. It's hard dealing with a quarterback change from an athletic quarterback to a guy that holds on to the ball way too long. And the Steelers' offensive line was up and down. That whole offense in general was up and down. And it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Look, this is a guy, just look at the pressures number. He allowed 41 pressures this season, 56, 39, 48 the 3 seasons prior.
Are you talking about Moore?
For Dan Moore?
Yeah.
It's just, and like pressures matter a lot.
Sure.
Cam Robinson in a worst year had more pressures allowed, but like again, career worst year. Dan Moore consistently hasn't been that good. So I need to be Cam Robinson. Where there needs to be another option B conversation is also the right tackle spot. I'm not ready for them to go into the season with Caden Wallace as a right tackle one. No. He hasn't proven anything.
Yeah.
Morgan Moses. He's been in the league 11 years now. Now, he hasn't missed games, but his snap count has dropped. This guy's a pure come in, play 1 year at right tackle.
Yes.
Until Caden Wallace proves you otherwise, bring in a Morgan Moses. And if Caden Wallace is that dude, awesome. Put him in over Morgan Moses, who will be cheap. You have a lot of cap space. Because Moses can be signed to a 1 year, $7 million deal. Yeah. Pay him for that, because if Caden Wallace isn't the guy, you need tackles at both spots. If it's not a Patrick McCarry, go with the Morgan Moses. I think that's super important. And again, if it's not a Patrick McCarry, you're not going to get Trey Smith, because the Chiefs are going to keep him. Yes. You're not getting Joe Tooney. The Bears traded for him. Give me a Tevin Jenkins from the Bears, who played well for a really bad Bears offensive line. His numbers aren't as egregious as you think it would be. 4 sacks, 17 pressures allowed last season.
Yeah.
With how bad that offensive line was, I'm surprised the Bears are letting him go, but that's new offensive coordinator, new system, all that. And maybe he has some red flags I don't know about. But you can get a Cam Robinson and a Tevin Jenkins. And they'll cost, because Tevin Jenkins is 27. Cam Robinson's going to be 31. But then you get a Morgan Moses and save money there. And then you have the Caden Wallace that takes over.
I hear you. I'd rather have McCarry, because I'm going to tell you the truth. Morgan, and I don't even like talking offensive linemen. But I covered Morgan Moses in D.C. He's not good. He's just not good. I'm sorry. And he's older now. And I don't know. But I have a question for you. Dan Moore or Will Campbell? If you miss out on Cam Robinson, and I told you your left tackle was Dan Moore or Will Campbell, those were your options, who would you want?
Will Campbell.
Because the only reason I pose this question is because we have to realistically think about this. If you lose out on Cam Robinson, and I don't know how you could, because you should be the highest bidder. Okay, Ronnie Stanley, I think, likes money, but he wants a Super Bowl more. I understand that. Cam Robinson's not in that same position. Mm-hmm. You better like money, okay, because you're not you got to get paid here. So I believe the Patriots will land him, and it sounds like you do too. But let's just hypothetically, for the sake of the conversation, say it doesn't happen for whatever reason, okay? That's what you're looking at now. It's Dan Moore or Will Campbell or both. So, I almost think now, with all these domino pieces, I know we'll get to more, that were on the Patriots wish list, not being there anymore, starting from T. Higgins weeks ago, all the way up to now, present day with Ronnie Stanley. I think you got to start looking at plan C, D, E, and F, because what you can't do, George, is go into next season with what the hell you had at offensive line. And right now, that's what they got. That's what they got, and it's not good enough.
This offensive line stinks.
It's depressing, bro.
And Cam Robinson would be a good starter. He still feels like a stopgap in a way, but I think you get 2-3 good years out of Cam Robinson.
Yes.
Dan Moore, what you've seen from him in Pittsburgh, I just don't love.
I don't either.
And that's where, again, and could it be a Jedrick Wills as a depth piece too, and then you could play with him versatility-wise across the line. And it could very well be a time of, if you could see, which would be insane, Dan Moore and Will Campbell on the same offensive line, though. No one's proven anything.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what Cole Strange has left. Yeah. Will Campbell could be kicked inside to the left guard spot if he can get down in the stance. He's 6'6", he's big, he's athletic, he's explosive.
That's why I brought that up. You could have both.
If you're enjoying the show, be sure to check out new episodes of Foxborough Rush, dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mike Vrabel's the head coach. Drake May's the future. Patriots have the number 4 overall pick. Wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, or watch on YouTube, find Foxborough Rush.
Steelers fans don't love Dan Moore.
Here's the thing, and this is where the conversation starts, and Patriots fans, I feel like, should feel this way.
Yeah.
Stop if you're the front office. No Dan Moore. Get Cam Robinson. It's legal tampering. You have the most money.
That's right.
Don't be cheap at a vital spot.
Yeah.
So I get it. You're like, hey, let's have the convo if it could happen.
It could.
And they're having that.
It could.
But don't go we have a price on Cam and that's it. No.
Yes.
Get Cam Robinson. He's the best left tackle out there. Football character
You're preaching.
is a reason you're going to go with Dan Moore? No. Who's a better left tackle?
That's it.
Because then the conversation has to be at the point with Ryan Cowden, Mike Vrabel, Drake May. Bring him into it. He's a franchise quarterback. Hey, Mike, you're big on culture, and you get the most out of guys. You can take questionable characters and turn them into Pro Bowl type guys.
That's
the
right.
best of their position. Do that with Cam Robinson.
Yeah.
Football character? That just no. I would be upset if, they walk out. We really like Dan Moore's character.
Yeah.
No. How is he as a pass blocker for your franchise quarterback's blind side?
That's right. You nailed something too, buddy. And I'm not going to let you just gloss over it because it was gospel. I caught the Patriots Holy Ghost. You cannot play games now with the Cam Robinson negotiations. If Ronnie Stanley was on the market, then you could. You're trying to get Stanley. You're talking with Cam Robinson's folks. You're playing with the numbers. You're figuring out a deal. With Stanley off the board, you have got to throw the kitchen sink and all the utensils at Cam Robinson. You must, to use a Godfather reference, make him an offer he can't refuse. He must be a Patriot. You can't play games with negotiations here. You gotta just and look, you and I are both acknowledging this.
Yeah.
You're overpaying. But you're in such dire straits right now. I mean, honestly, you're desperate. I would much rather the Patriots at left tackle have desperation in the free agent market, George.
Yeah.
Than to be sitting here with you on draft night and knowing damn well they're going to have to reach at number 4 and take Will Campbell. I want them desperate in free agency, throwing cash around more so than I do on draft night. Because if you can get Cam Robinson and some depth on that offensive line in this free agent period, then draft night, the world is your oyster. If Travis Hunter's looking at you at 4, if Abdul Carter's looking at you at 4, you can swim in those waters. If you bleep up free agency and your offensive line is still putrid and stupid, well, then you got to take Will Campbell, and it doesn't matter if Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter is staring you in your face at number 4. You're going to take Will Campbell because you have to. And that, my friend, I will lose it. I'll lose my skis on draft night if they muck this up so much in free agency, George, that you're handcuffed. They got to take Will Campbell. And then Travis Hunter is there.
They're not
and you
doing
can't
that.
take
They're
him.
not doing
and you
that.
can't take him because you have to take.
You can.
So this is such an important period right now for the Patriots. Give Cam Robinson all the money. Give it to him. What do you want? Boom. Give it to him. And at least, to your point, I think for the next 2 or 3 years, this isn't a 5, 6, 7 year play, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's a 2. I agree with you. I think it's a 2, 3, maybe 4. You get, I don't know. We'll see. But I think Cam Robinson now has to be option 1, and you got to go aggressive at him. You can't play around here.
I'm just looking like Deion Dawkins' deal last offseason, 29 when he signed it, left tackle.
I was going to ask how old was he?
3 years, $60 million.
Yeah.
20, so it's 20 year. Practical guaranteed altogether, $37 million.
Yeah.
It's really simple. Cam, here's 3 years.
He's a good player.
Here's $61 million. Just top the Ronnie Stanley deal, but go $40 million fully guaranteed. 35 at signing, $40 million fully.
No
and
issue.
That should get him in there, and they can afford it.
No issue.
Another big report, DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
So Albert Breer tweeted on Seattle wide receiver DK Metcalf's situation. Teams have been told he wants to play for a contender in a warm weather city. Buccaneers, Chargers. I think he ends up with the Chargers.
Ugh.
That said, could be a sliding scale where teams that don't fit the criteria pay him more. Okay, Patriots.
Oh.
Also, Metcalf was said to be eyeing Houston. They traded for Christian Kirk. They have Nico Collins. They have Tank Dell. I don't think Houston makes that big swing and pays him. It doesn't make sense. They just paid Nico Collins too. I know it's DK Metcalf, but that's managing your team and your cap. So DK Metcalf's contract, and there are the reports too, the price originally for him in trade rumors was a first and a third. Diana Rossini tweeted that's going down to a second. Look, the Patriots have the 4th overall, 38th overall, 69th, and 77th overall picks.
Wow.
They very well, I would part with that 38th overall pick for DK Metcalf and pay him. Or you call him. And that's where the legal tampering, in a way, legal tampering is you talk with the agents, not the players.
Right.
When you go, I'm going to look up who DK Metcalf's agent is.
Okay.
But who's to say you don't call DK Metcalf's agent on client B, right?
Sure.
And then go, hey, by the way, let DK know. He may not love Massachusetts. We would pay $31 a year for a wide receiver one. Just let the apex predator know.
Yes.
And that's where I think it starts with. You talk about DK.
Well,
I'm going to look up his
I would
agent.
also add that New England in the summer and the fall, I think it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. I never visited here as a kid. I moved here. I'm like, man, summertime here is lit. Oh, the fall, it's beautiful. I've never gotten a car and driven around looking at all the fall leaves. DK, come on, baby. We're going to make you rich, well, richer, and it's beautiful a couple months out of the year. Come on, bro. What's up? Now, also, George, I would like to acknowledge the growth in our bromance. I talked 20 minutes of offensive linemen with you, okay? I would like a little love here. I'd like a little respect, a little pat on the back. That is hashtag growth. I'm so glad we've pivoted to wide receivers, and I hope I never have to talk offensive linemen as long again in my life. But DK Metcalf, the price has gone down to trade for him. Hell, I would have, other than the number 4 pick, I think you and I talked about this, but I would have been willing to pay the old prices as long as it's next year's first-round pick. So now that the price is going down, are you kidding me? You have to make this move. Now, what you must do, to your point, is if you're dealing with the agent, you can't talk to a player. Hey, man, here's a number. We're going to make sure he's taken care of. We know he wants to go to a warm weather city. Bump that. He's not going to make as much money in a warm weather city. Come to New England, baby. We got this young, dynamic quarterback. We're in the process of rebuilding our offensive line, and we just need him. And that's exactly who he is, George. DK Metcalf is him. I've seen reports, well, he doesn't really fit in Josh McDaniels' offense. Make it fit. Hey, Josh, figure it out, man. Like, we have this guy's a true bona fide wide receiver one. It's not playing the game of, well, you got Godwin coming off an injury. Well, Cooper Kupp, he's hurt a lot, but he's shown he can be a one. He's just getting a little long in the tooth. Or Darius Slayton. No. DK Metcalf is a number one. True. Tried and true. Proven. Get him in here by any means necessary. Hey, Cam Robinson and DK in an offseason?
That's 2 great signings. We haven't got defensive line talk.
And you could mess around and get an Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter for? My God.
DK Metcalf's with CAA. CAA also represents Chris Godwin.
They like money, though.
They also represent Chris Godwin.
CAA likes money.
Call about Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, let Tory Dandy know. I don't know if Tory Dandy's the exact agent for both of them, but just like, Chris, we're willing to pay $32 million a year for true number one, but with Chris coming off the injury, we're going to go more of 20 a year. Yeah. But just let it be known. We would pay 30 plus a year. It's simple as that.
Yeah, put it out there.
I like that you bring up Chris Godwin though, because the conversation has gone around him too that he can see upwards of $25 million a year.
It's the market.
Dislocated ankle, don't love the injury.
Yeah.
Already rehabbed it, has a surgery, has been in a walking boot, all of that. The projections say he could be ready to go by the beginning of next season. I'm just so worried about what he can be. But, again, if you talk about football character, that is a guy you never hear anything wrong about his character. Blocks his ass off in the run game. Is a good, tough receiver.
Yes, champion.
And would be a professional. Yeah, and has experience in a Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady offense. Josh McDaniel is now, of course, the OC once again in New England.
Right.
That's a guy that is going to be 29, 30. You're going to have to pay him. He's going to be on the decline because 30 years old, it falls off. And he's a slot. He is a slot, but he's a big receiver, and they need him.
Yeah.
He'd be the number one. Guys around the NFL love him. My red flag is the injury. If you like what you see in the physical, here's the thing, Trav. Would you pay the Chris Godwin $25 million a year because this is what it's going to be, or is it trade and pay a DK Metcalf?
Well, don't even. That's not a discussion. You know damn well it's DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin, let's call it what it is, okay? And he would probably know this. He's the backup plan. He doesn't care if he gets 25 M's. What does he give a rat's butt about being the backup plan? I think you have to put all the eggs in the DK trade and give him his money basket. If that doesn't work out, Godwin is the backup plan, and I'm fine with it. I'm not as concerned as you are coming off the injury. I think the guy's going to be just fine, and that's what the team doctors are for. Figure it out. Does it look good? Okay, fine. He's on schedule. Great. Get him in here. My thing is, I think we as fans and in the media would have to have realistic expectations if that is the backup plan and it comes to fruition. Here's what I mean. Chris Godwin's not going to come in here and put up the same numbers as a DK Metcalf would because he's not as good of a player as DK Metcalf. He's not a true number one wide receiver as a DK Metcalf. However, Chris Godwin can come in here and do some things better than DK Metcalf. And it's what you laid out. That is valuable. Coming in, teaching these young guys how to be pros, teaching them the right way to go about things, teaching them how to win. Improving them, improving your wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Those things. I don't think DK necessarily does that. He does it by his own accord and by his gifts and his talent.
Yeah.
But he's not teaching anyone anything. He's just being him. I think Godwin will give you some I'm not saying he's going to come in here and be a bust, George. He's going to give you productivity as long as he's healthy. But what he gives you intangibles, what he teaches, the wisdom he gives, a Jalen Polk learning from him, right? A Javon Baker learning from him, a Pop Douglas learning from him. That is going to pay dividends years down the road. I don't necessarily think they'll learn the same things from a DK Metcalf because he hasn't accomplished the same things, and he's at a different point in his career than a Chris Godwin. I like Godwin and Kupp for a cheaper option too for the same reasons.
And here's the thing, though, to combat that. Cooper Kupp's 32-33.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin's 29-30, coming off that dislocated ankle. Mm-hmm. Cooper Kupp has not been healthy. He has not given you more than 12 games and 850 yards the last 3 seasons.
It's going to be cheaper, though, George.
He's not. But listen, you know who's cheap right now? Drake May.
Yeah.
You have 4 years left of a cost control contract of him being under a rookie deal.
Sure.
Once Drake May hits the open market, he's making $70 million a year.
Yep.
Once he gets into that conversation, you know he's going to have tied to him $200+ million guaranteed. Trevor Lawrence has $200 million guaranteed fully. Drake May has a higher ceiling than Trevor Lawrence.
No doubt.
I don't want Cooper Kupp and Chris Godwin. You trade for a DK Metcalf because he helps you now. He's an apex predator. He is an absolute dog on the outside and a dominant wide receiver. And guess what? It is year one of a rebuild. It's going to take time, and I don't expect the playoffs, but I expect them to be just there.
Yep.
I expect a vast improvement because they have actual football people making football decisions in an actual football ecosystem.
Yep.
But DK helps you now, next season, and the season after.
Yeah.
He's going to be 27, 28. And guess what? Those are 3 years of a cost control contract with Drake May.
Yep.
Maybe you get 2 years out of Chris Godwin. He's not going to be the same guy coming off a dislocated ankle. Maybe you get 1 year out of Cooper Kupp.
Right.
That's my thing. It's where there is the winning now, where it's going to be regular season wins, and there's the winning down the road where it's postseason wins. This team has been terrible. This franchise has been a joke since Tom Brady left, and interest is dropping off. Fans, you can have the quarterback, but if you're not serious, not a serious team,
you got to build around
they
them.
will tune you out. They're too smart, the people here in New England.
This is why I said you got to put all the eggs in the DK basket because even the other options, George, outside of Godwin, outside of Kupp that you don't love, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, like it kind of feels like the Cam Robinson conversation. You can't mess around here. You have to be aggressive. And some of this is salesmanship. Let's call it what it is. If these guys don't want to play, if DK's saying, "Oh, I want to go to a warm weather
contending," you got to pay me to come to where it's cold and losing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Their last playoff win, again, the New England Patriots' last playoff win, was a 2019 Super Bowl win. Tom Brady's last Super Bowl. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Ever since Brady left, they suck. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to check out Netson's Daily Sports Podcast, Boston Center of the Chat. We talk about all of the trending sports news in Boston, around the country. Available on Amazon, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcasts. It's Boston Has Entered the Chat, wherever you like your podcasts. Some D-line talk. Myles Garrett got paid.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
$40 million a year, over $123 million, fully guaranteed. Highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Reset the market. He's also the best defensive player in the league. You see it on his screen, our new graphics. Shout out our producer, Ethan.
Looks
That looks
great,
beautiful.
Ethan. Looks great.
The Browns and Myles Garrett reached an agreement on a record contract averaging $40 million a year, $123.
Yep.
Fully guaranteed.
Yep.
Max Crosby got $91.5 million fully guaranteed. Myles Garrett got $123 fully guaranteed. They're making edge rusher money, man. Now, the Patriots, how this goes is, what does that mean for Josh Sweat? But they've been connected of, they don't want Josh Sweat. They want Milton Williams. That sounds like that'll be the big swing in legal tampering. But Harold Landry, that's a guy. Zadarius Smith hit free agency. This is where it's big of, this affects the edge rusher market. But keep in mind, again, that Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in the league.
Yes.
Not just the best edge rusher. When you're going after Milton Williams, that's a guy that's going to get paid top 5. So Myles Garrett getting paid affects the pass rusher market, but really it impacts guys getting extended. That's what him and Max Crosby just did. They set the market. Milton Williams will still be an affordable price for the Patriots.
Yes.
I think that's important. The defensive lineman that they definitely want.
Can we have a quick combo about Myles Garrett? The Patriots can learn a lot from this. When we were just talking about salesmanship and DK Metcalf, and you have to convince guys.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not coming back.
You have to convince guys. Yeah, Myles Garrett was like, I want to win. I'm tired of this, and just get me to a contender. I don't want to. Remember, he put that letter out. We read the letter on air. Remember, it was all heartfelt. Thanks, Cleveland. You made me a better man.
I loved it. He did it every right way,
bro. 5 minutes later. Like SpongeBob, 3 minutes later. They give him all the money in the world. He's happy. I'm going to be here forever. Oh, I mean, money talks. The rest of it, and you know what I mean, walks. This should be a lesson to the Patriots. They should be looking at this situation because we talked about, will Myles Garrett come to the Patriots? Hell no. We knew he wasn't going to come here. He wanted to go to a contender, allegedly. But it should show them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have all this money to spend under the cap if you're not going to spend it, bruh. Yeah. Scared money don't make no money. You gotta roll the dice. So, look, I want Harold Landry. To me, I remember when the rumors were the Titans were going to move off of him. We all talked about it. Like, yeah, Captain Obvious here. Vrabel's going to go get his boy.
28 years old, good pass rusher. Sack
and he
numbers
loves
are there.
Vrabes. He had production under Vrabes. If anything, not that you can get him on the cheap, but he certainly is going to be more inclined to come to the Patriots if there's more money to be made elsewhere. He would still, I would think, if you could get close or match it, you should be able to pull him because of that relationship. Yeah. And I know you've been high on Milton Williams. I don't have any issues with that. We've gone through that. I'm fine with that. No beef here.
Yeah.
But Landry is a guy who's already bought in.
Yep.
Even though it's a different franchise, the culture of what Vrabel built in Tennessee, he's building here only better, you would think, in New England. Landry's a guy who knows that culture. I got to go play with him. I think that's a move.
And that would be huge, too, because this is a guy that, for Harold Landry, all his production, 30 pressures, just 9 sacks last season.
Yeah.
But didn't play a full workload. Like, he's been injured the last 2 years.
Right.
But if this is a guy that gets you double-digit sacks and gets you in the 50 to 60 pressure range, just 28 years old, 6'2", 250, he fits the scheme they want to run.
Yep.
Terrell Williams knows him. He was his defensive line coach when he was with Tennessee. Mike Vrabel obviously knows him. They drafted him. Like, let's put it plain and simple. They drafted him.
Yep.
Those are the connections you want. And so the same thing of, if we're going to talk contracts, we're going to talk prices, we're going to talk what it costs, this isn't a Myles Garrett signing. This is a guy that's 28 years old, and you could even go with a prove-it deal where he could be in that Danielle Hunter range.
Yeah.
Where you go 3 years, and it could look juicy. 3 years, $75 million, so $25 million a year, right?
Sure.
Just over what Danielle Hunter got from the Vikings. To sign with the Texans from the Vikings.
Yep.
But if you go 3 years, and then the fully guaranteed is around $45 million. That lands him right in that sweet spot where that's good money. You have him as age 28, 29, that's 30 season, or 29, 30, 31.
It's your Drake May timeline you talked about too, George.
And that's it. And you're paying not an exorbitant amount. Yes, you're paying him to be a top 10 paid pass rusher, and people may not see him as a talent, but that's how these deals go.
Yeah.
Like, there's a SPO track, market value, all that. No. The cap goes up. The market's been set. It's all about being the most recent guy paid. It's not about being the highest paid. It's the most recent to get paid. And Harold Landry's in line for that. And maybe he takes a little cut to get back with Vrabel and Terrell Williams, but that's a reality. So you tie him with that, let's say around like $45 million guaranteed.
Okay.
Then you're looking at defensive tackles, and the contracts now for Milton Williams, he's in a better spot.
Yeah.
Look at the Osa Odigizua contract, $20 million a year, 52 fully guaranteed.
That's fresh.
He's also in the Jeffrey Simmons, Dexter Lawrence range.
Yep.
Of just payment and age.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's played with the Jalen Carter, Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, Nolan Smith, very talented defensive line, Josh Sweat. So he hasn't been the guy. He'll be the guy here. That still is that Osa Odigizua contract. You give him 4 years, and you'd probably just have to beat it, maybe 21, 22 a year, right?
Yeah.
So 4 years, what's that, 84 million full? But if you give him 55 fully guaranteed, that puts him ahead of an Ali McNeil, that puts him ahead of an Osa Odigizua. And maybe you got to get up to 60 million.
He's signing it.
That's Jeffrey Simmons. You beat him in that market.
Yeah.
But the Patriots are bad. They stink, and you have to get guys here. And then Milton Williams is a guy that you're getting him in his prime, 25 years old.
Yeah.
And they need to shore up that defense now.
Listen, Milton Williams and Landry, I mean, it's a lot of cash, but you get both of those guys, and you get a healthy Barnmore. You get your front seven, George. You're cooking with grease there.
Yeah.
And then we know on the back end, they want to add a corner. Now, whether it's free agency or draft or whatever it is, you know where I'm going here. I mean, if you get me Landry and Milton Williams this offseason, right?
Yeah.
And you figure out, you have Cam Robinson offensive line, figure out the offensive line, and draft night hits, and a Travis Hunter is sitting there. All of a sudden, this front seven you have, and then you have Gonzo and Travis Hunter as your corners. I mean, hello, is this thing on? All of a sudden, overnight, not only is your team relevant and exciting, and you got some guys here, you got some guys with juice, but you're going to be a really dynamic defense. I mean, that's a dynamic defense, George. Milton Williams, Landry, Travis Hunter on the back end, and then you get all your guys back healthy, knock on wood. Bro, that's and you have Vrabel. I mean, this Patriots franchise has a really unique opportunity this offseason. I just don't want them to sit on their hands. They're going to have to be very aggressive here, George. We know it. You got to spend that money.
And so we're going over like option A's, right? Milton
These
Williams.
are option A's.
Harold Landry, that's an option A.
Yes.
There's the option B's. And again, they said they have the options. So Darius Smith was released.
I saw that.
So that's a guy, 32 years old, but played with Terrell Williams.
Yeah.
But that's fine. If you bring him in, he's been paid. He's older. If this is a guy you bring in on a cheaper end deal, and he is a role player as a pass rusher, he's a third, fourth down specialist, right? Just second and long, third and long passing down situations. Mm-hmm. He's a good pass rusher. He's experienced with Terrell Williams' system. He's a vet. Been with the Packers, been with the Browns, been with the Lions, has bounced around the league, been with the Ravens, been with good franchises. Then there's like the Malik Collins, again, older, from the 49ers. This is a guy, again, line him up in the 3-tech, guards outside shoulder, pass rush. Not a great run stopper.
Sure.
Pass rush. At his older age, that's a guy that you could have as a depth piece. You don't know what you're getting Christian Barmore. What are you going to do with Keon White? He played great when he was lining up in the 3-tech as well.
Good point.
Okay, so do you go swing big on a Milton Williams? You could get option A and option B too. Like, don't write that off too.
Yeah, you could.
And where you get Milton Williams, you get Malik Collins, you got defensive tackle depth. Because right now, like the defensive line room, Christian Barmore, Keon White, Daniel Ukawale, Jeremiah Farms, no. And like Ukawale's a bigger guy. He's more of that run stopping specialist. First down, get off the field. Goal line, get on the field. That's it. Maybe they stick with him. I don't know. They need to, and it's been reported, we've talked about it on past episodes of Foxborough Rush, the offensive line and defensive line, the trenches are going to look vastly different.
Yes.
There's going to be a complete redo in that spot. Mike Vrabel wants to make it within his image, him and Terrell Williams.
Yep.
And these are the guys that fit it. A Zadarius Smith is a 1-2 year solution, really a 1 year solution.
It feels like it.
But same thing on a deep defensive line draft.
Yeah.
You take a Zadarius Smith now, opposite of a Harold Landry,
right.
Milton Williams and Christian Barmore on the inside, or Milton Williams, Keon White. And maybe that is Keon White is playing out on the edge too. But if you draft a guy later on, maybe it's a Jack Sawyer. Maybe, I'm blanking on the edge rushers, I don't know. But it's guys that are going to be later in the draft. They still have to develop. This is the guy that gives you that luxury.
Yeah.
While they develop. Zadarius Smith, you play now. And that's a plan of they want to build out the roster of free agency and fill holes in through the draft. And that's how free agency goes.
Yeah, I mean, Von Miller's available too. I know he's old as dirt, 36 years old.
Yeah.
Not the same player, but that's, again, your point. Someone who's what you're really saying is almost, we use this terminology with quarterbacks a lot. It's a stopgap guy or it's a bridge guy.
Yeah.
And if you were to bring in a Von Miller and then draft one of these projects later in the draft, to your point, in a very deep edge rusher draft, who better to learn from than a Von Miller? The only thing I kind of think, though, George, I can't help myself, maybe because when we launched Foxborough Rush, we talked about this day in and day out. But I feel like somewhere Matthew Judon is sitting there like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme pointing.
No.
Because he wanted, listen.
No.
We talked about it back then.
But we're talking locker room, you don't bring him back.
That's a whole different combo. But that was a guy who could have been a stopgap guy as well, and they chose to move off of that.
Because he wanted to get paid, and guess what? They got a third-round pick out of him.
Yeah,
and
they did.
He was terrible for the Falcons. Good for them.
He didn't do anything.
Just think of you sign a Zadarius Smith. The guy that I comped him, literally, Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. Could be a fourth-round pick.
Yeah.
Good depth piece. But you develop him behind a Zadarius Smith. And then when Zadarius Smith goes, boom. Kyle Kennard, I don't know his exact age, but he was a 4-year guy at South Carolina. Yeah. So, fine. When you have a 33-year-old Zadarius Smith gone, in steps in a 23, 24-year-old Kyle Kennard.
Facts.
And 3 years of cost control under him. And that's a team building. So there's the bridge guys, and then there's serious ones. Von Miller, good.
Stopgap.
36 years old.
Yeah.
I don't want the name recognition signings, right? And I feel like that's what that can be. Mm-hmm. Where Von Miller, go to a contender. He was good.
He was on a contender. He didn't do a damn thing.
And so stick with and go to a contender. But that's a guy that just the snap count needs to be high. You bring him in.
It's not the same guy.
No. It's 36.
Right.
And I just, if it's a good deal, I would rather go with the swing of an Azeez Ojulari.
Okay.
Injury history, 25 years old.
Young.
But an absolute pass rush specialist playing with the Giants. Young, yeah. And is a gamble, but you could go with a gamble on cheap.
Sure.
And if he pans out, you extend him now.
That's
like him after a year, you get the deal done week 12 because you have cap money to spend instead of spending that on a Von Miller who's going to be gone tomorrow no matter what.
No doubt.
So you got to play the smart way. Hey, stream the entire Red Sox season with Nesson 360 annual plan. Available at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month paid annually, and for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit Nesson360.com to sign up today. All right, Trav, quarterback talk.
Uh-oh.
Geno Smith traded to the Raiders for a third-round pick.
I was surprised.
It's funny because the Raiders at 6 are still in the quarterback market.
Yeah.
Do you take a Jackson Dart and let him sit?
Yeah.
He reunited Pete Carroll, third-round pick going to Seattle. That's a new quarterback for Las Vegas. They have a lot of cap space. They have a lot of needs. They're okay on defense. They're a real player. That's my thing of don't sleep on the Raiders. Don't sleep on the Commanders as well, of teams with cap space that could snatch up guys that they want, right? But, with all of this, that opens another destination for Sam Darnold. The Raiders are still in play at number 6 for a quarterback because Geno Smith isn't that solution. Darnold can go to Seattle.
Yes, he can.
And you know what that opens up? Is it still the fact that maybe the Titans draft a quarterback, maybe the Browns draft a quarterback, and maybe the Giants draft a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is that variable out there for possibly going to New York.
Do you believe that?
Yeah,
I do too.
They're desperate.
Dable feels like a guy that thinks
Dable's desperate. Him and Joe Shane are desperate to keep their jobs.
Yeah,
they need to get a quarterback now.
Yeah,
and the thing is, don't rule out the Giants to trade up from 3 to 1. Flip with the Titans. And maybe throw in, because you're only moving up 2 spots, not the best quarterback draft, and maybe they throw in a second there, or a future second, or a current third, right? And then you see Cam Ward going 1, Shador Sanders taking 2. That's great. And then the Titans go, cool, Abdul Carter 3, Patriots get Travis Hunter at 4. What's important right now is that Sam Darnold can go to the Seahawks, and he doesn't go to the Titans, and maybe they draft a quarterback, or they trade back and take an edge rusher.
Man.
This was an interesting move.
Travis Hunter to the Patriots.
This was just an interesting move because, the Seahawks, I'm they still need a quarterback. Geno is a
stopgap.
top 12 starter in the league.
Call him what he is. He's a
Resurgence
bridge.
of his career.
He's a bridge.
Yes.
He's
He's
a bridge.
34.
Yeah. He's a bridge. I also wouldn't sleep on the way these.
But they got a starting quarterback, which is
they
important
do.
for the Raiders.
They do.
Maybe it's a later on in the draft, depending what happens with Jackson Dart. Maybe the Raiders trade back, depending on what happens with a Will Howard, or just depending and waiting until next draft.
Hey,
when
man.
there's other prospects.
The way these prognosticators and experts are talking, Shedeur Sanders might slide to them.
Yeah, and if he's there at 6, good luck managing that personality
What do you
sitting
mean?
a year. But
Tom and Prime are tight.
Yeah.
Tom's tight with the kid.
is he Geno Smith is insurance.
Geno Smith is insurance. That's
Quinn-
exactly right. That's exactly
Quinn Ewers to the
it's
Raiders.
Vegas too. It's Vegas. You at some point you have to figure out the quarterback to sell tickets, George.
Yeah.
Like it is Vegas. You can't roll out there with Geno Smith and Gardner Minshew and all these losers, Aiden O'Connell. Like you can't have this. You got to have someone box office. And we know they don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're going to have to figure it out, George. Shedeur Sanders is that, at least.
Yeah.
Interest-wise. We'll see if he can, pan out player-wise.
The Seahawks have $62 million in cap space, so they're still in play of making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
They're getting darn.
The Raiders, meanwhile, and again, same thing with the Raiders of they extended a Crosby
Right.
and just reworked his deal for the Geno Smith. If they say giving him an extension, add on years to his current deal,
Yeah.
that can help them operate in just $50 million in cap space. Maybe they move past a Jacoby Myers, right? And no matter what, again, that creates around $7 million in cap space. They can navigate this roster, get back up to $61 million, still draft someone big, still sign someone big. There's so many teams in play that can affect what the Patriots can do.
Jacoby Myers back to New England?
Yeah, it'd be all
Question
right.
mark.
Here's my thing again of when we talked about DK Metcalf, right?
Yeah.
You know what I want at 38? I want Jaden Higgins.
Yes, you do.
And I want in the third round, I want Jalen Noel.
Yep.
You take that second, though, and Jaden Higgins is good. I really like him as a prospect, but you get DK Metcalf, you do that. Mm-hmm. For the Patriots, I'm worried about there just being a log jam of slots.
Okay.
Chris Godwin's a slot. Cooper Kupp, as he's gotten older, he is a slot.
Yeah, he is.
You signed a Jacoby Myers. He is a slot.
Fair.
He knows how to get open, but he is a slot.
That's why you want DK.
Kendrick
You
Bourne
want that
slot.
outside.
Pop Douglas's, you put
Yep.
him everywhere.
Yep.
DK Metcalf, apex predator on the
Yep.
outside.
Yep.
True wide receiver 1. You drafted Jaden Higgins. He plays on the inside. You're getting big all of a sudden. Good run blockers.
Yeah, true.
Good hands, too.
Physical.
Big catch radius. Yep. Good and tight windows. That's what matters with a lot of this. So that Geno Smith trade out of nowhere.
I was surprised, but Raiders are going to Raider.
And the Pete Carroll reunion. Pete Carroll and Geno Smith are the same timeline if you think about it, T.
Yeah, they do.
They're going to be there for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And they just need to make the Raiders serious.
Right.
Until they get done paying all these head coaches, including John Gruden, all the guys they fired. They get their books in line.
That's right.
They get everything under control. They draft well. These are the guys that hold it down.
Yep.
And then it is like, watch. Again, Tom Brady's an owner. He's not a GM. It's not like he has a 3-year timeline. He has a lifetime timeline with these Raiders. Watch them when it gets into 2027, 2028. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's probably the plan and why we're seeing moves like we're seeing now from them. I think you made a great point of just get control, get grown-ups in the room.
Yeah.
But
steady the ship.
listen, I don't know why they just didn't do it now. I really have a gut feeling that Shedeur's going to end up there. And eventually, so is Prime. I think he's going to coach his son in the NFL. And I thought they could have made it happen
Matches
this
with the
offseason.
Pete Carroll timeline.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think if you draft the kid now, Geno's your guy. Shedeur sits and learns. Pete Carroll's just there. And then, sure enough, hey, Prime, we finally got Gruden off the books or whatever. We'll pay you all the money because that's what we do for coaches here.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's Prime and Shedeur in Vegas. Now that will sell tickets. That's my point. You got to have something. It's Vegas, baby. I mean, am I wrong? You got to have something to bring the people in.
You do.
You want to see a show.
Win some games now, raise the floor, and then you bring in a Shedeur Sanders.
Boom.
And guess what? You know what, too? People could question, say it's a weak quarterback draft. Bring in Geno Smith. You draft Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders doesn't work out. Again, same timeline.
Yep.
If Pete Carroll by the time Pete Carroll's done coaching the Raiders, Shedeur Sanders would be up with his rookie deal if he doesn't work out. I like him. I think they really got to retool that offensive line.
Yeah.
And again, if the Raiders can part ways with the Jacoby Myers, get more cap space, and again, they could be in the mix of they get a left or right tackle and steal someone from the Pats. The Pats have to swing big. Trav, we got 2 minutes left. I want to end with this real quick.
Okay.
A guy kind of off the radar. Who do you want to see the Patriots? You want them to tamper with the agent and sign a free agency?
Man. I mean, it's got to be Cam Robinson, dog.
So he pie in the sky.
It just has to be.
One I'll give to. We all talk about the defense.
Yeah.
You're giving great corner names. I know you want DJ Reed. I can see it. Byron Murphy, I want to, right?
Yeah.
Javon Holland is a true free safety.
Yeah.
And what you can do with him is he plays back there, helps his defense play how it wants to. Kyle Duggar plays more in the box where he's comfortable.
Right.
And when you let everyone play in position, I think that's so important. And that's what they can do with a lot of it. And the big one, too, I'm looking it up now. That's right. This is the last real year of money for Jabril Peppers. We don't know what the future looks like. He's about to be 30. He's had injury history.
He's had
off the field issues, but it seems like all the legal stuff is behind him. We'll see.
He's not the same player.
Javon Holland comes in. You draft a guy like a Kobe Bryant out of Kansas.
I don't hate it.
While Kobe Bryant's playing corner for you, Javon Holland plays free safety and teaches him, and then he slides back.
I see the vision. I can't start or end any conversation without having a left tackle. I can't do it.
And that's the thing.
I mean, you cannot mess if they mess around and fumble Cam Robinson.
Yeah,
George, what are we talking about here? Honestly, this is the guy. You got to get this kid. It's not their fault, but Ronnie Stanley's gone. He ain't walking through that door.
Yeah.
With Rick Pitino. You got to get Cam Robinson.
Pay the struggle tax. You've been struggling. You got to pay more for players and get a Cam Robinson in because it helps out a Drake May.
I like that.
He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. This was Foxborough Rush. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. Catch new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.